Anyway, so here's an example of a good beginner tune, right? Louie Louie. It's the first song I ever learned. All right, and we'll just play it on the open E string. This might be too easy, but we'll ramp it up every song. Cool? All right, so you're gonna play the open low E string 3 times like this. Cool? That's it. Go ahead and do that. Yep, open low E. That's it. Okay, now we're gonna play the 5th fret on the same string with our index finger 2 times. All right, then we're gonna use our ring finger on the 7th fret and we're gonna do that 3 times. Like that. Yep, and then we're just gonna go back to the 5th and do that 2 times. All right, so a little summary. Our notes were the open low E, the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and then those are the notes, and then it goes back to the 5th fret before starting over. And the number of times we're going to be picking them is 3, 2, 3, 2. So here's the whole thing. Cool? Go for it. That's it, man. That's it. And then next thing you do is like jam on that for a little while. As simple as it is, one thing that's kind of a nice habit to get into is learning to, when we play something, if we can, this is something that I battled a lot in school. Really probably not enough. It was kind of a weakness of mine, was I would practice matter of fact. And I didn't take a lot of time to really like make something rock. So even though this is something simple, right, I should be able to like... And like kind of with, a certain amount of whatever is going to do it, little aggression. And a few ways you can do that, just being kind of carefree and just hitting the strings hard if you're trying to go for that kind of rock thing. Or adding a little vibrato, so you're like, little variations. So anyway, that's just like a super easy song. So next song. Now this one we'll just talk about for a second. Wild Thing. Now the reason this is kind of a nice one to learn next is because it's the exact same notes. The only difference is really in the song is that instead of playing it 3 times, like the low E, for example, you instead play it 2 times, but they're spaced out. So it's kind of like as though there were 3 where you just removed the middle one and left the timing. And this is the kind of thing where, like, if we were to talk about rhythm, we'd be talking about whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, rests. We'd be looking at it on the paper. And although that's really good, in the beginning, it's a little bit like making something easy into something hard. Later on, you have to look at it and, like, learn how it is so that you can be precise, But initially, I find that rhythm, if you teach it, is kind of micromanagey. And it's like you have to get anal right away about it. So instead, the best thing you can do is to listen to the music that you're learning, and that's not such a bad thing either, you know what I mean? And then you'll observe the differences. You go, oh, wow, okay, this song's slower, or whatever. Now, the way I'm showing you these, it may not be the original key, but I'm just giving you this key because it's the easiest way to play it first. But here's the difference. So here's, like, if you think of Louie Louie, you got this. Right, the one we just did? And the melody's like, Louie Louie, oh, we gotta go. Yeah, 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 Louie Louie. Right, and then you got Wild Thing, which is like, Wild thing. You make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild thing. So it's like, you can see how it's the same notes, but really how you give it a different feel is by the fact that it's slower and the fact that, you know, there is a little difference in rhythm. Instead of going, you just go. So basically the difference between the two is that as where the Louie Louie went 3 times, 2 times, 3 times, 2 times, this one every time is 2 times. But you can think of it as being long, short, you know? Now obviously this is not like official terminology. It's just kind of a way to communicate it in very like basic, non-musical terms even. So you have just like long, short, long, short. Anyway, that's basically all there is to that. Cool? So let's take a look at some other tunes now. A good one, there's a couple good ones that we can learn next. Do you know that song, Seven Nation Army? The White Stripes. It goes like this. So it's gonna be 7th fret, and you do that twice, and then you go up to the 10th fret. Now I use the pinky here, right? And then back down. So far we have this. Cool. Yeah, you got the right idea. So then it goes down to the 5th fret. And then down to the 3rd fret. And then to the 2nd. Alright? So that whole thing is... Cool, go ahead and give that a shot. That's it. So, go ahead and take a second to jot that down. All right, so that's the first half. Now the second half is basically the same with a slight variation. It goes like this. And once you get to that 3, instead of just going down to 2, you sort of retrace your steps back to 5 and then to 3, 2. So it's like this. Basically, it goes from this the first time, and the second time it goes... That's the only difference. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Those were the right notes. The rhythm, you did this. So the rhythm was a little off. The rhythm, if I recall, is like just one, just da 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 da. It's actually kind of a triplet thing, but we haven't really talked about that yet. So it's just, if I recall, it's been a while, but I think that's the rhythm to it. Right. Now, as far as like I say, with the rhythm, the best thing you can do, rather than being like micromanaging about like pointing at the paper and being like, oh, see, that's an 8th rest, and don't forget to tap your foot and count out loud while you do it. That's all healthy, good stuff. But first, I would recommend maybe just like emulating what you hear, you know? If you can get that quick, if any of this stuff, if you get it like quick enough, so it's like, and you're not sure about the rhythm, but you're basically able to play it at about that speed, you can try playing along with the record. And then you'll kind of find out, oh, wow, I'm doing something different. I'm not, you know, what is it? And you'll have this kind of like interaction where you're going to you'll be studying what you're hearing and trying to play along and that sort of thing. Cool? Really recommend using smart fingering. So, like, hopefully this is kind of obvious. If you need to write it down, go for it. I always write it down in person lessons. Just, I put a little I for index or R for ring finger. So, like, for example, when we did Louie Louie, you wouldn't want like this. You know, we would want to use Exactly. It's the right technique is defined by whatever is most efficient and logical in the context of the song you're working on. Okay, so let's try out a Peter Gunn theme. This is another good one to learn as a beginner, and I'll go through a lot of reasons as to why after the fact. But Peter Gunn theme rhythmically is super simple. It's everything is the same. It's just like that's the whole rhythm. Just dot 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 dot. Everything's even. Okay, so here's the Peter Gunn theme. You're gonna play the low E string open twice. So the open low E string twice, like this. Go and try that. Yep. That's it. Now we're gonna do the second fret, followed by the open E again. So it goes like this so far. That's it. And now we're going to do 3 open. Yep. No, I'm sorry. 3 as in like 3rd fret, followed by the open string. Well, here's the whole thing, right? We had 2 opens, and then we had the 2nd fret and the open string, and now we have the 3rd fret followed by the open string. Exactly. Try from the beginning. Good. That's fine, yeah. Then there's only 2 more notes. It's going to be the 5th fret. Use your pinky on that. Followed by the 4th fret. You'll use your ring finger on that. Cool? So now the whole thing goes like this. Cool? Exactly. 5th fret, 4th fret. And so what you're going to use is when you play the 2nd fret, you're going to be using your index finger. When you play the 3rd fret, you'll be using your middle. When you play the 4th, your ring, and your 5th, your pinky. Cool? So here's the whole thing. Whatever, you know? So now the nice thing about learning this song, there's a few things. One, everybody kind of knows the song, so that's good. Every generation, even like young people know it from like SpongeBob and Cars movies and other things. But you know, most people our age probably know it from the Blues Brothers or something like that. Anyway, so everybody knows it. That's nice. The whole song is about 4 minutes long, and that happens throughout the entirety of the piece, which means you actually know the whole song now. Rhythmically, it's pretty simple, and that means that when you get it up to speed, which might be tricky because you got all the coordination to do with your pinky and ring finger and stuff. But when you get up to speed, you can try playing along with the record. You know, it's like if you pull it up on YouTube and it's 4 minutes long and you play it from beginning to end, that's 4 minutes of, you know, endurance. And not just like physical endurance either, but kind of like what you'll do is, because you're new at it, you'll focus on what you're playing. And then you'll lose focus of what you're playing with. You know, you'll lose focus of the music, and you'll be trying to make sure you play the right notes. And then when you feel kind of like you've got it a little bit, that's when your focus will naturally kind of like drift back to the music, and you go, oh wait, I'm not with the band. What happened? You know, which meant that maybe at some point you sped up or slowed down, or maybe just missed one note, which then threw everything off, like made everything displaced. And so that's a good thing in a sense anyway. I mean, it's not good you don't want to do it, but it's a sort of a virtue of the song in the sense that what you'll be practicing at that time is basically your ability to play with other people, you know, in a sort of limited sense. And of course, probably one of the biggest things about the song is that it uses all 4 fingers. So normally beginners, they get something called finger torture, like this. Very exciting stuff. Cool. So, and of course, it's about a quarter the speed, right? When you're beginning. So it's really disgusting. It's intolerable. So, Some teachers still give that to students. Students never do it. They gave that to me when I was a kid. I never did it. Nobody does it because it sucks. So instead, this song is a cool song that has all those other nice qualities that we talked about, but also it uses all of the fingers. It's kind of like if you were eating a cupcake and you said, you know that cupcake's made out of all the nutrients and vitamins you get from vegetables, right? You'd be like, whoa, you know. So that's kind of a nice part of that song. So I've been working on this Yngwie lick. Yeah, you know, I didn't do shred for so many years, and then lately I've been getting back into it a little bit because it's fun. Mostly jazz. When I was in school, I studied jazz a lot because I wanted to understand harmony. You know, and at the time I didn't know how to play over 1-4-5. Yeah, I didn't know how to do chord tones over chords, so I got really big. I mean, I've been big into everything. You know, I did a heavy metal album and some more avant-garde stuff, and then I did a fusion album and funk album, and I intend to do a blues album with a friend in Nashville, and country album is in the works. So there's a lot of different stuff. All right, so think you can handle some more tunes? All right, cool. Let's try. All right, I'll just give you a kind of a basic, like easy version of that. So we'll start, instead of the E string that we've had all along, we're going to start on the A string. This song is going to be all on the A string. So it's going to be the open A string, followed by the 3rd fret, index finger, and then the 5th fret, ring finger. So it goes. Go ahead and try that. This will all be on the A string. It's going to go 0, 3, 5. Like that. All right. Okay, the next part goes 0, 3, 6, 5. Instead of 0, 3, 5, the next part goes 0, 3, 6, 5. Cool. So think of it as pieces like this. So the first piece goes, and that's like, you know, think of it like a measure. It's not really a measure, but. All right, so then the second piece is like the variation on that, where it goes. It's really like the same phrase, except the 6th fret sneaks in before you get to the 5th. Oh, good. All right, cool. So the 3rd part is exactly the same as the 1st. Exactly the same. All right. And then the 4th part is actually the easiest part. It's just 3, 0. So the 3rd and 4th part together sound like this. That's the 2nd half then. Yep. So the first half goes. The second half goes. Close. Close. Only thing really is just the last part, the easy part. Instead of going 0-3-0 or 0-3, it just goes 3-0. Yeah, that's right.